Greetings and salutations, folks. I'm Jess. This is my dress. It has no sleeves, but we're gonna fix that. Sleeves were an integral part of the Renaissance wardrobe. I mean, they're sleeves. They cover your arms, so obviously, but they carried a bit more meaning during the Renaissance. Sleeves could be set, but they were often detachable, making for easier cleaning, greater range of motion, and of course, giving the wearer the opportunity to have multiple sets of sleeves for one gown. Silhouettes appear to change greatly from the late 15th to mid 16th century, but much of that is just the sleeves. Perhaps a raised waist seam. Sleeves were often embellished or incredibly voluminous and pushed the limits of, or were outright the reason for, sumptuary laws. I don't know if I need all that for this pair. I made this dress maybe a year ago. It's the same pattern from the black velvet gown I made on this channel, but it's made from scarlet cotton linen blend fabric. Linen probably wouldn't have been used for this sort of gown in 15th, 16th century Italy, unless the woman was in a convent, and then the linen would have been undyed or gray. Gowns would have been made from wool or silk, but I am planning on wearing this to Ren Faire. By the way, I have never dressed in full costume at Ren Faire or anywhere public, but it is my understanding that it does not necessarily need to be historically accurate, and Ren Faire here gets hot. So I think that the linen is going to be a good choice. More concerning is that it's missing the most iconic part of a Renaissance gown. Luckily for me, there are no shortage of options for remedying this. I could go with the traditional late 15th century split sleeve. Honestly, I've made so many of these, I could probably spit one out in my sleep. The huge, voluminous, make the sumptuary law enforcers clutch their pearls sleeve. The 1890s eat your heart out puff sleeve. The tailored puff. I've always wondered what's happening here. The made out of gold encrusted velvet braid sleeve. I mean, really, just what do you want? They did it. I really think I want to figure out how this was done. I mean, I know that she's not the most extravagant of all of the options, but I don't know. There's something about this that has always intrigued me. So I think maybe I'm going to do that, and maybe I'll try out something else as well. I decided to make mock-ups of the two sleeve types to try on the gown to see what matched the proportions the best. Luckily, the Tudor tailor features a puff sleeve pattern, so I started there. Since the Tudor tailor pattern is symmetrical, I tile printed half the pattern exactly to the scale in the book. I cut the pattern from muslin on the fold. It was a lovely looking pattern. Okay, so I'm reading the pattern and I think I've followed it pretty well. It says fold each of the sleeve pieces in half and sew up back seams. I mean, in my mind, that's what I've done, but it looks very odd to a modern viewer. I think I'm gonna move on to something different. I think I'm done with this. Maybe I'll just try draping a sleeve or something. I like the sleeve that's kind of pleated, so I'm going to try to drape that. Actually, just realized that I have the perfect thing to test out this theory before I go making a big sleeve pattern. I can actually just cut this off right here and then see what it looks like when I kind of pleat this up, because this is otherwise just wasted. So why not experiment with it a little bit and see if we can come up with something else. I know this doesn't look right, nor does the length make any sense. Like, how? But in theory only, this is how the mystery sleeve is achieved. Okay, so I've got the sleeves on the form, obviously with lint, with the actual dress to kind of just look at how everything's working. Obviously, I'm gonna have to work on the pattern a little bit if I wanted to use this. She's not even laced in properly. Whatever. I think that this is a pretty good representation of what is happening in the sleeve. At least we kind of know the engineering of it. I mean, this is way too high. This would have to dip down below to meet the arm side down here. So like this is looking very like squished in there right now. It looks very weird from the side, like a shower curtain or something from the side. I wish that I could like tell this lady in the portrait to, you know, turn to a different angle so that I could actually see what's going on the back of her sleeve. But trust me, I've tried that and it doesn't work on portraits. So I feel like there is a way to cut this a little bit so that it slopes downwards instead of like just being this like bucket thing over here. I like the bigness of it. I like the size of it. The scale with the dress I think is really nice. I think that it's kind of unexpected to see a large sleeve with this style dress. I continued fussing around with the slope of the sleeve cap and cut away some of the fabric under the arm to accommodate the arm side well into the night. And JK, it was like mid-afternoon, but you'd never know from this video. Once light had returned to the world, I trued up my draped pattern on pattern paper. A lot of these lines are really just guesstimations of what the slope should look like, but it worked. I've had this black linen forever, although after working with it, I now suspect it to be a linen viscose blend, a little too heavy in the drape to be pure linen. I'm not 100% sold on Ren sleeves being lined, but I will never miss an opportunity for a contrast lining. The lining I used for these is cream cotton sateen, the same I used for the French hood headband like 5 videos back. I have so much of this fabric it will likely be my default lining for the foreseeable future. I laid the corresponding self pieces on top of the lining pieces right sides together and sewed around the perimeter, leaving a 3 or 4 inch space open which I used to turn the sleeve right side out. I know I've said this before, but whenever I'm doing a bag lining like this, I really prefer to first press the edges flat. And this is why. Look at that pocket. Much better. Okay, so because we're having fun here, I wanted to include a detail from one of my favorite modern designers. This is a sweater from Celine, designed by Phoebe Philo. No, I am not fancy, but I lived in New York for a long time and you find crazy things at Goodwill there. The whole sweater, in fact everything Phoebe ever designed, is awesome, but she was known for these contrasting linking stitches on her knitwear. I don't know, I just love it. For my sleeves, I did a kind of insertion stitch in a cream cotton embroidery thread along the long seam of the arm. This was fun and relaxing, and I loved the result. Plus, there was some vindication after struggling to teach myself insertion stitching on my Our Flag Means Death smock. These sleeve heads were super floppy, so I attached a twill tape to the inside to help give them the structure they'll need to stand up and be a good shower curtain. Also, here's the requisite fell stitch for the project. I really think the black band is important in the original sleeve. The contrasting line helps emphasize the unique shape. I didn't want to use twill tape to the right side of the garment, so I made a flat finger loop braid of 5 bows. I've made a reel of this over on Insta, but there is a well-loved finger loop channel here on YouTube. I'll link them in the description if you'd like to learn. Because I wanted the braid to seamlessly span the entire sleeve cap, it was pretty long. Because you have to be able to spread the loops between each stitch as much as possible, this may have historically been done by 2 people for such a long braid. My other person was monitoring the camera to make sure you all would get prime stitch creating content, so my braid turned out a little loose, which affected me down the road. Just a warning. My loose braid did not want to sit straight and evenly on the sleeve cap, so I found the best way to manage this was by gently prick stitching it in place by hand. But then I realized the braid would go all meh between the pleats, so I did the only thing I could think of to make it all lay straight, and zigzagged it in place on my domestic machine, which worked. So much for all that hand stitching. Okay, so there were many ways these sleeves could attach to the armhole. Ties were popular, buttons. You see, the problem there is that then the sleeve can only be used with this gown, and any other sleeves I ever make for this gown would need the exact same attachment method. Plus, baby Jess was an art school punk, so say what you will, I can now use these sleeves on any bodice, historical or no, that I want. Also, there may be a little hint at a future video that will be coming out in about a month. Wink. I love these sleeves. I love this gown. It's not the most practical thing for a mom of 2. There's just so much fabric everywhere, but it's perfect for Ren Faire, which I will definitely be dressing up at this year. 98% sure. This was a really satisfying way to update a gown, and I will absolutely be making more sleeves for more gowns in the future. If you enjoyed this video, I always appreciate a thumbs up, and if you'd like to join us for more fun and historical tomfoolery, hit the subscribe button. I upload just about every other Thursday now. Bye! Vegan turkey leg recipe.